it's okay to not be okay. I don't know how many of you can relate to that, but I mean, it's okay to say, I'm not okay. It's okay to reach out to that hand that's being reached out to you. It's okay for you to need help, and it's okay for you to say, I simply don't understand what's happening. Now, this is, ever so prevalent in the world in which I come from, and that's the first responder world. As children, we grow up, and we get guidance from our friends, from our family, from our parents, and then we get into this magical world of adulthood, and all of a sudden we think we don't need that help anymore because we're the ones that are providing it for our children, but we forget just who we are. And in the first responder world, this is ever so prevalent. I'm sure that you watch, everybody watches the news and reads in the media about what's going on, the whole PTSD, OSI epidemic, and we are absolutely 100% in an epidemic state. This is a very proud group of people, a very honorable group of people that reach out every single day to make sure that you and I are safe and that we're taken care of. I can speak to this because I come from that world. I was a paramedic for 30 years, 12 years in the region of Peel, in the city of Mississauga. And then I worked the last 18 years of my career with a very elite group of people. I was a critical care flight paramedic. I worked on board the helicopter, the big orange thing that wakes you up in the middle of the night as it's flying over your houses here in Kitchener-Waterloo. I was part of that group. I was trained by, the most leading trauma doctors that we have. I was trained by the best ICU and CCU staff. And I was expected to carry out my duties at a very elite status. I did that very honorably. I was very proud to be part of that group. But sometimes pride can get in the way. And with that, we literally traveled 300 kilometers an hour in a straight line. I covered this province over and over and over again. I've responded to calls everywhere. I was very proud to be part of that group. I went to the gym on a regular basis. I come from the hockey world, from which Mike spoke about, the Junior B hockey world. But what I didn't know and I didn't understand, because I didn't have the self-awareness and I didn't have the education or support around me to understand that I needed to also take care of my mental health. And with that, in 2015, I was diagnosed with PTSD. I worked for about another year or so, going through different therapy and treatment modalities. And finally, one day, my therapist said to me, he goes, Brian, let's be honest here. He goes, what we're doing, are you getting anywhere? And I simply said to him, no. And he said, no, because you keep going back to work, seeing what you're seeing, touching what you're touching, doing what you're doing, and then you come back here and I give you some strong coping and management skills, but then you go right back to that situation. So he goes, for you to truly get better, he goes, you need to move away from the job for a period of time. Now, for some of you that may not like your jobs, you probably go, I'm okay with that. I love my job. I love being there. I loved helping people, and I love being part of this community. So that was a hard decision for me. I did so. It took about another year and a half of different treatment modalities and therapies, and eventually come down to the realization that for my mental health and my physical well-being, but more importantly, the health and well-being of my lovely wife and my 2 daughters, that I needed to step away from the job. Again, a super, super hard thing to do. But I did. Stepped away from it, get up in the mornings watching breakfast television and petting the dog, and then deciding what I'm going to do with the rest of my day. I had the opportunity to visit a friend of mine down in the Kingston area. Returned home after 2 tours of Afghanistan. Was on a medical leave for PTSD, and he decided he was going to open up a little gym in Kingston, primarily for military personnel. So I was standing there, and the only way I can explain it to you and to everybody else is as I was watching the people come and go, as I was watching the uniforms come and go, I went, this is what I want to do. This is where I can fulfill myself for the rest of my life. And I decided that I wanted to reach out to that first responder community. I wanted to reach out and provide them with a place to go and feel healthy and feel safe and feel strong. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm about to start down that road. You know, it's very fulfilling for me, and I want you to understand that our first responders, they're a tremendous group of people that reach out every single day. They risk themselves physically from the jobs that they do, but they also put themselves in harm's way from a mental aspect. And if they're not given the proper coping skills and mechanisms for treating it and I guess just primarily treating their the mental exposure for what they go through, they get into some bad places. And for us as a community, we need to reach out to them and know that they have the love and support of those of us all around them to make sure that they get healthy. I want to thank you for your time. Thank you.